Cavs dominated the Nets last night for the majority of the game. The Nets came back late, but there's something that was said on ESPN radio in Cleveland yesterday that got us in a stir, Twitter in a stir, that I want to address here. Brian Windhorst was on ESPN radio in Cleveland yesterday and said essentially the Cavs, or hinted at the Cavs maybe having a hint of buyer's remorse because the Donovan Mitchell trade took them from being okay to good, but it may not take them from okay to great. And to win a title, you obviously have to be great. And now with Mitchell, they don't have the assets to go out and acquire more talent to bring them from being good to being great, which is obviously a very thin line, but a very hard threshold to cross. So 72 games into the season now with 9 to go, 10 to go. Do you believe the Cavs have an ounce of buyer's remorse for the Donovan Mitchell
Clickbait.
trade?
No.
This is clickbait.
Did Windhorst actually say those words?
Yeah, I need to hear that. Like, cause I ain't
can't
never
play
heard
it, but yeah, he said his words exactly almost were.
He parsed it by saying they may have.
Yes.
Well, that's a big difference.
That's why when I saw it, I didn't want to. You know, it's
The
okay,
only
you
way
wanna
I would
discuss
have
it,
buyer's
that's fine,
remorse
but
on
the word "may"
That's a big difference.
is a guess. And by the way, if they do have buyer's remorse, I'm not sure that it would be because he didn't take them from good to elite. I think the biggest concern at this point is, can they keep him in Cleveland?
That's
the only thing. That is literally the only
That's
thing.
it. If he forces his way out after this year,
Then they absolutely have buyer's remorse. Yeah.
But if it's about them making them great but not great enough, this is the part of the job that I don't like it. If you're a guy who plays sports or you're into sports and you've been doing it and you're passionate about it, articles like this make you just question what the hell are you doing here? Because let's just be honest, man. This is what the game is about. It's about competition. And I understand that people don't compete at that level, but you know, if you look, Jay's still throwing pitches because he want to compete out here. He like 59 or something.
Hey, 57. Hold on, dogs.
He gave it 2 years. Tyvus is challenging kids on the street. I bet you I'll lock you up. I like you. He out here doing listen, competition is why we all wake
notice
up
how
in the
G
morning.
left me out of that.
Bull,
I'm playing fantasy football, man. I'm killing people.
You're coaching.
Right?
Coaching. Yeah, that's right.
And plus, Bull thinks he's the greatest sports talk host in the world right now.
Yes, that's true.
See, look, competition.
That's true.
So I'm always trying to get better. If you gonna give me Donovan Mitchell, you in the game now.
That's right.
Why don't people want to be in the game, Tyvus?
It's like having buyer's remorse on Deshaun Watson.
You hear that?
You got to be in. You got to be in it to win it.
Right.
I don't understand. Like, it's what? So they're saying because we won't have a first-round pick for 2 years?
No, well, that's part of it.
Okay, but then the picks ain't going to be nothing anyways.
So here's the question, Mark. So we always talk about going all in. That's the phrase that we keep using. All in, all in, all in.
That's what you got to do if you want to win in this league.
Yeah, it is. So, but here's the problem. And I agree with that. If you're going to be on the field, your goal every year should be we're going to win it all.
Yeah.
But there are consequences to be paid when you push all your chips to the middle of the table and you look at your hand and you got a 2, a 4, a 7, and not like you're like, oh hell, I don't have the all-in winning hand.
Okay, but if they hadn't made the trade, what do they have? They're worse right now.
In the NBA, there's really 3 groups of teams. There's the group of 6 to 8 teams every year that have a legitimate chance of winning it.
I don't know if it's 6 to 8 this year.
It is because the West is so wonky, and all you got to do is get there. Normally, I would say there's 4.
Yeah, right.
4 to 6, usually 4. But this year, when I looked at the West, I go, you know what? I got 5 teams that could win the West. And if you win the West, you're 4 games from winning it all. So you got to factor that in. But so then you've got a group of teams in the second tier, which isn't any fun to live in. Because you're good, but you know you're never going to get past a Giannis or these power teams. And then there's everybody else.
But Jay,
you really don't want to be in the everybody else.
But here's the thing about the Cavs that's different. They got 2 young players in Garland and Mobley that still have the ability to take an exponential jump. Especially Mobley. So if you're those other teams and you go all in and Donovan Mitchell goes to the Knicks, the Knicks are a team that can never get past that level. If Donovan Mitchell and you got Brunson and you got old boy Julius Randle, that's not going to get you done. But if you got Mobley, and Mobley is here that can take the step and become a defensive player of the year, 22, 23, and 10, dominant, can pass the ball, jump shot. Now you got Donovan Mitchell, who's your closer, and you still got much more upside. My thing is, it's not the regular thing where you get a guy that's not that good and you just flame out.
What is this force your way out thing? I don't understand.
That's
this.
the NBA today.
I don't. Okay, when do we have to abide by that? Kyrie and KD tried it. Guess what happened? They ended up
they got traded.
No, they ended up playing though.
Yeah, for half a season.
Kawhi Leonard asked to be traded. Guess what?
You know
happened?
why? Because
Go
the
sit on
player
that
made
bench
it
and play.
so punitive on the owner.
So-
Where are they now, though, Ty?
They all are traded now. But,
Okay, so in the end, they got what they
Now,
wanted.
I don't know that Donovan Mitchell is that kind of guy like Durant and Kyrie are, but
I don't either.
Who knows?
But I don't either.
I think as long, to me, I don't know how long we're going to have Donovan Mitchell.
I don't either.
But
I'm
if I
starting to
get
question
one
it.
more, even if I get one more year with Donovan Mitchell next year, to me it was worth it.
Well, Milwaukee.
What is his
Milwaukee-
contract? How long is it?
He
got
three
3 more years.
left.
3.
Oh,
But Ty-
if he gets traded, it's not like we can't get no good pieces.
That's
back.
true.
No, we would, but now
Yeah.
you're not starting over, but you're kind of back to where you were before you made the trade.
But the thing is, you still got Garland and Mobley, so you got a safety
And
blanket.
Allen.
Yeah, and Allen.
Yeah.
You still got a safety blanket. You
Right.
just you have to flip him for 2 good key role
I think the
players.
comment from Wendy was, first of all, he hedged it by May. Well,
Yeah, that's meaningless to
You know
me.
what? I'll go say this right now. The Browns may have buyer's remorse on Deshaun Watson. They may.
They may.
And if you think right now that every single person in Berea is in lockstep, that this is going to work out the way it did on paper, the way they thought it would on paper, you're kidding yourself. Because they saw the same thing we saw last year. And there's got to be at least someone in that organization that's saying, oh, hell,
Well, here's the
he
thing.
ain't coming back the way he was.
Well, I look at it like this, man. I'd rather have that
hope not to
conversation.
say that.
I'd rather have that conversation
have some schlubby
than-
quarterback.
than that hell purgatory that we sat through 1 in 500. I'm never going back there. I'm never going back.
You know what, though? The problem is you might.
Well, listen. If you go back there because you tried,
Yeah.
I'll shake your hand
I'm
because
about to say that.
you want to win.
It gave the city something to believe.
But anyway,
in. I think
just
that's what it all is about.
For the Cavs?
Both.
Both. The
Both.
interest
but-
is higher than it would have been.
Exactly.
But
So now there might be a downside price to that in 3 years.
I'm never going to regret trading for a stud.
I'm never going to regret trying to get better.
I'm
You're trying to
neither.
win.
But the post-mortem, like there's a lot of ways to get better. The post-mortem will write, I've always said this. Guys loved that trade, guys hated that trade. And I've always maintained this. History will tell us.
Which trade?
Both, but Deshaun.
Yeah.
Mostly Deshaun.
Yeah.
History will let us know.
I mean,
Did it
listen.
work? And by work, I don't mean lose the Super Bowl. I don't. See, I think we disagreed on that.
That's taking them to do
This
hype.
trade works if we win the Super Bowl.
I don't agree with that
I don't
because
agree with that
if you
either.
I
didn't
do.
make the trade, you had no chance to win a Super Bowl.
Well, you still lost the Super Bowl, just like you did in every
I
other
hear
year.
you,
Yeah, you
but
never
it
made
doesn't-
it in the
At
Super
least you
Bowl.
win. This city would go unbelievable.
It would.
Just
It
to
would.
be able
But
to say
Yeah.
you was
what
in
this
it.
city wants,
They
trust
wanna
me,
win
because
it.
I've seen it with
Oh,
the
they wanna
Indians.
win it for sure.
What this city wants is to have a parade.
Yeah.
And
not an 0-16 parade.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant because you had to make the trade. So I mean, you had to get a quarterback. You couldn't. You can't win with Baker Mayfield. We all know that now, I think, and that's that.
here's-
So
here's-
you
But
had to go
you
for
can't
it.
say you
Do the
can't win
Baker-
because they did win. I mean, it did happen once.
can't-
Do the Baker
You
Bros.
won one playoff game.
Yeah, but I mean, to say you
I'm
can't.
saying you can't win a Super Bowl.
You
with
can't.
Baker.
You can't really
Yeah,
say
kinda.
that because they did win
Well,
with
it's
them.
No,
so
I'm saying you can't win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield.
as far as I know, you can't win one with Deshaun Watson either because he hasn't done it.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
saying.
So you're just gonna
with
place a bet.
With Watson, if I get Watson in Houston, I'll have a chance to win a Super Bowl. With Baker, I had no chance.
Presumably, although I saw him barely lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in a game where we had a bunch of things go against us.
What's the backup quarterback for Kansas City?
Let me ask you
I
a
don't even want to
question.
talk about Chad Henne.
Was it going
when
against,
his name is brought up, I
was
throw
it
up in
going
my mouth
against
a
was
little
it going
bit.
against us when Patrick Mahomes didn't play in the second half? Because the game wouldn't have been close. Let's
No,
be
that was a
honest.
break. You got to take what you get. You got to take what you get.
Well, you just made an excuse and said, well, we got things against us and we barely lost. Barely lost means nothing. You lost. That's all.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. That's what I'm saying
Baker
with the
Mayfield
Deshaun
won
Watson
one
deal.
playoff game.
If you
One.
make the Super Bowl
One.
lost, you still lost.
There's
and
a
that
lot of
means nothing.
slapdicks that have won one playoff game. A lot of slapdicks.
But what I'm telling you is, to your
Tim Tebow
comment,
is the worst quarterback in the history of football.
He did win.
He threw a
Worst quarterback
dime
ever
in
seen in my
overtime
life.
to win
Now,
that game.
to your point,
Yeah. Yes.
RP.
yes, you can't say you had to make that trade. You can't say that. You just can't.
Or I think
I just said it.
You can say that.
You had to.
You looked at it and said, well, this is a trade that will make us better. But nobody had their gun to the head
In
saying,
the NFL,
you got to make this trade.
In the NFL, if you don't have a legit quarterback,
Well,
you're not playing.
the
for
reason
real.
the reason
And in the NFL, it's entirely possible to have a legit quarterback
well, I
and
mean,
not go.
the Browns
Of course.
have been,
Entirely
have been
possible.
searching for a quarterback since they came back.
And they've
You aren't
never
kidding.
had a good quarterback.
And that- so
hopefully they do
And
now.
we still haven't.
Have we ever actually traded like this to get
No,
one?
no, this was the
So
first.
it's okay. So it's insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different
Right.
results.
Yes.
So they
One
had
slappy
to
after
switch
the
it up some
although
way.
the Bengals didn't make that big trade. They
Because-
just got lucky in the draft. Their guy was sitting there when they happened to have the pick.
Well, listen, man, that's the way it worked.
It is the way it
They
works.
could have messed it up. They could have got. To me,
I don't know how you mess up Joe Burrow. Like who,
they could have messed that. The chase thing could have happened.
I mean,
they could have messed
no,
the
that
chase thing.
that was I give them
Had
credit
the
for.
Browns-
But the Joe Burrow thing was just luck.
Had the Browns have drafted now, I wasn't saying this at the time, but had the Browns drafted Josh Allen or Lamar, then
See,
we wouldn't have
I
been
don't
in this
like
situation.
I don't like people saying the Josh Allen thing because
don't either.
Josh Allen went to a place where they said, "Listen, what you doing don't fit what we doing." So instead of saying forget you, we gonna say forget what we doing. We gonna switch our whole
Well,
offense
maybe
up
Joe-
That's what Baltimore
and do
did.
what
Maybe-
works for you.
maybe
Not
Joe
every
Burrow wouldn't have been as good
not
somewhere
every
else.
coach is ever gonna say
Maybe
that.
Joe Burrow wouldn't have been good somewhere else if he didn't have T. Higgins.
I agree.
I don't know.
See,
and
that's
then
the problem.
Jamar Chase.
See, Tyvus, that's the problem. What I learned when you talk about coaches is you got to be willing to do everything you can do in your power to make that guy good.
Well, they'll say this guy just can't get it
Mikey
done.
has got to be so annoyed that we've
It's-
switched back to
Yo,
the Browns.
We just
again.
completely hijacked.
All right, let's move
Evan
it on.
I don't
Mobley.
think the viewers are because I mean, let's face it. If
just
what
get-
are they going to want to listen to?
just
Yeah,
get in the chat.
well,
Let's
we've
see.
talked
Let
about
me-
it before.
let me
Mikey,
see
what do
they-
you got for us right now? You want to
see
wake
what
up
they
over
say.
there?
What they
You're
talk
still-
Yeah,
about?
no,
Let
we,
me see what they
well,
say.
let's do 2 more minutes on the Cavs. They obviously almost blew a late lead, some execution down the stretch, a little
Yeah.
suspect against the Nets last night. We'll spend 5 more minutes on
cares?
that before we pass over to the World Baseball
Who
Classic.
cares if
Okay,
they almost
yeah.
blew it? This,
I thought
again
the Cavs
with these
game, yeah,
almost
I'm
this
with
and almost
him. Like
that.
the
Who
Cavs
cares?
game last night, to me, they won it in the second and third quarter.
Yeah.
They had a huge cushion. They took their foot off the gas, which is smart in some instances.
Yeah.
And then they had to find the accelerator again, and they did. But the bottom line to the win was they're locked into the 4. They're 3.5 from the 3. They're 3.5 from the 5. There's
Right.
10 games left. Too much has to happen. They're going to be the 4. They're going to have to probably play the Knicks in round 1. If they win that one, they're going to get
Milwaukee.
the Milwaukee Bucks.
And then that's
if they
when it
beat
starts.
Milwaukee, they're going to get Boston.
So,
If
so
you had to bet right now, your entire life savings,
Oh,
Damn.
Whoa.
you have 2 options.
Whoa, that's a couple
2
dollars
options.
for
You
me.
ready? The Cavs lose to the Knicks
Oh, no.
in the first round, or the Cavs beat the Bucks in the second round.
Stop.
You can only bet one of those 2 things.
The Cavs beat
lose-
the Bucks
no,
in the
no, no,
first
no,
and
no,
the
no.
second
Wow.
round.
Yeah, I would too.
The Cavs beat the
I
Bucks
would
in the second round.
too.
And as a Giannis fan, I'm saying
I
I
would
could
bet-
see
I
I could see the Cavs beating the Bucks.
I would bet the
They've had
Cavs lose
pretty
to
good
the
success
Knicks.
against
Because
the Bucks this year. And
Chris,
the Celtics.
because Chris Middleton is not that guy anymore.
I would bet the
it's really,
Cavs-
it's really pissing me off.
I would bet the Cavs lose
I would
to
bet
the
the
Knicks.
Cavs.
Wouldn't it be
lose
funny,
to the
guys,
Knicks.
if
I
they
would do
beat
that.
Milwaukee with Jimmy sitting courtside?
Yes.
I would
Well,
like that a great deal.
I mean, Jimmy is a
forgot
loser,
Jimmy
so
is.
that might rub off on the Bucks.
But see, here's the thing. This is a great thing about sports, and I love it
Yeah.
because every man has an opportunity to go out there and prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Every man can just look. We call him whatever you want. Evan Mobley could come out there and just wake up and be like, "Oh, listen, I'm better than everybody." That's how Giannis
Giannis
did
could
it.
get hurt.
Giannis did that.
Giannis gets hurt,
He
guess
just,
what?
They was like, we can't stop him no more. We just can't. And then when you win, you become that dude. Sometimes somebody becomes that dude.
Yeah,
and
to
it's-
be the man,
Yeah.
you have to beat the man.
That's
and,
right.
And you just be like, you got to shake his hand like, I don't know, we couldn't stop him. He just became that dude.
And then, you know what? If they were to find a way to somehow, some way, get past Milwaukee, I know all the games went to overtime, at least it seems they did. They're 3-1 against the Celtics this year.
I don't think the regular
Now
season.
that's fool's gold.
Yeah.
I don't think the regular season is meaningful at all, in my opinion. However, if they did beat Milwaukee, there's no reason they couldn't win the whole thing.
There's a little carryover, wouldn't you say?
I don't think so.
Like,
my
you
opinion.
don't-
I don't
you don't-
know, but
I think there's a little carryover.
but why? It's a totally
Just because,
different-
if nothing else, it gives you confidence that you know that we played the Celtics 4
I'm gonna
times this
tell
year.
you, the only team I don't want the Cavs to play in the playoffs right now is the 76ers, and I just
Well, they won't have to.
Good.
Unless they get past Boston.
not beat
Good.
them, boy. I don't
Yeah.
well, they'd only play them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's it. And,
And that would
and
be
they'd
a
have
good
to
problem
beat-
to worry about.
I would love to have that problem, but they'd have to beat Boston to get there, and I don't think anybody's beating Boston. I think Boston's winning the title.
I think Boston is gonna. They're exalting all their energy.
Right now?
Yeah.
I still think they're winning
I
the
think
title.
I think it's a totally different.
The best part
season.
about the Cavs over any other season is they now have one of those playoff guys, right? In the playoffs, don't nobody miss. Nobody miss. If you watch the games, people won't be hitting jumpers.
You mean like that guy to watch?
Yeah, that guy to watch.
Yeah.
They got to do that. If he get hot in the series, you could lose.
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan
is
Mitchell,
like
that
that.
if he get hot,
He
can run off 30, 45, 41,
His bubble
36.
playoffs versus the Nuggets was one of the single greatest playoff series.
It was
all
crazy.
Donovan Mitchell
It was
need,
crazy.
He need one of them young guys to
One.
come with
Well,
him.
you know
Just
what?
roll one.
He's got a
Either
lot more help
Darius
here
or
than he's
Evan
getting
to
in
come
Utah.
with me.
That's
That's
it.
it.
That's
That
it.
is it. They'll win it.